this was like the culmination of everything that I had ever wanted for it.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Leslye Headland's critically acclaimed play, Cult of Love, which played to sold-out audiences at Second Stage's Hayes Theater, is about to become a film, and I caught up with her here at the Museum of Broadway. Have you been able to put the whole thing into perspective, the journey you've been on with this play?
That's a really good question. The answer is absolutely. Usually with other stuff, I'm not. I worked on the Star Wars project for like 4 years, and it kind of like came and then it was over, and I kind of there was an ephemeralness to it that I was like, oh, I guess that's it. Like there was something about sitting there in the audience, both opening night when I last saw you, but also watching it throughout the run with Trip Coleman and I, when we would pop in. And I just think this has come so far, and it is exactly what I wanted it to be. Both the support of Second Stage, not kind of like, I'm coming from TV and film where you're getting noted constantly. So like the artistic support of Second Stage and Bennett Leake, but then also the collaborations with Trip Coleman, who I've done, so many plays with. Jacinth Graywood, who did the musical direction, also had done it in every single reading that we had ever done, and obviously did the Berkeley Rep production. So this was like the culmination of everything that I had ever wanted for it. So the answer is yes. Not only was I able to step back, but I was able to step back proudly and positively.
Because I think with this, you had it moved from here to here to here,
Right,
and in between you could look at the show again and have the time to rewrite. The show changed. Did the show change between Berkeley and Broadway?
Absolutely. We were supposed to actually go to Williamstown. I think it was 2020. So it was, and then COVID happened. So the difference between the Williamstown draft to the drafts that I rewrote during COVID to all of the workshops that we did to try to get someone to do the show, to Berkeley, to finally Second Stage in the Hayes. So much stuff changed, and yet so many things remained exactly the same. A great example of this is there's a moment in the play where David Rashi, who plays the patriarch Bill, he has this monologue about love and about how beautiful it is, and how he doesn't understand why we can't all just love each other. And that is something that just came right out of my brain. I've never touched. It was exactly the way that it was in 2017, 18, when I did it with the IAMA Theater Company in Los Angeles. So there are magical little moments like that. And then there are things that up until opening, you're the freeze of the show, you're like, oh God, let me fix this joke. So a little bit of each, I think.
What an incredible cast you assembled for the Broadway production. I spoke to all of them, and they all said it was one of the most unique rehearsal processes they've ever had, because it was so open and trusting, but they pushed themselves to do things they had never really done before, playing instruments and just going emotionally to places, but felt freeing to do it with you and Trip.
Yeah, I'm glad that they felt that way. I think a lot of it also had to do with it being an ensemble. I think that it's so different than having you and one other person, and both of you kind of going all right, it's just the two of us. There was this real sense of camaraderie. There was this enormous amount of support. People who felt, uncomfortable singing or nervous about singing were right across people who had never sung in front of people ever. They had the support from Jacinth and Second Stage and Trip and I, but they all just actually did it with each other, even more so. And watching them love each other on stage, that was a dream come true for me, to see a full-blown ensemble on Broadway again. Yeah.
I know there's a film version. You're starting to work on this. And I just figured, what is it like taking the play and changing the genre now to be a film?
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky enough to be collaborating with Will Ferrell and Jessica Elbaum, who produced my adaptation of Bachelorette, which was very successful. Kirsten Dunst, Isla Fisher, Rebel Wilson, Lizzie Kaplan, they know how to cast and how to surround us with people who will not only understand the story, but understand the origin of it, that it was not just popped out of my brain as a film, but that it needed to come to all of these different places in order to become a film. So, yeah, the big thing is take a long nap, recover, which is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, Jessica and I have already started talking about how do you build it out? How do you stay true to the characters, but how do you change the environment? How do you push the plot forward in a way that you don't, the play doesn't need to, because you're watching what's right in front of you. And I'll end with this, that there's this great quote, and I cannot remember who said it, but they said in plays, the audience is wondering what's happening right now, and in film and TV, they're wondering what's going to happen next. And that's the real difference between putting something on stage and then putting something on people's screens.